Good morning, BHS, and welcome back to the Indian Insider. Today is November 9th. I'm Jackson Jacobs.
And I'm Heidi Knight. Today we'll have a look at weather, sports, and a special game day announcement. But first, here are some announcements.
If anyone is interested in assisting with laying of the wreaths at the Bridgeport Cemetery on December 16th, please stop by room 201 during first lunch to register. Please bring your iPad.
Now to Katie for weather.
Today expected to be warmer with a high of 54. Tonight expected to be freezing with a low of 26. Tomorrow expected to be partly sunny with a high of 36. Currently in Bridgeport, it's 42 degrees. I'm Katie Matheny with Insider Weather. Back to Elijah with sports.
Last night, girls cheerleaders competed in the Big Ten tournament and placed fourth. This Friday, girls volleyball will compete at States at the Charleston Civic Center and will play Shady Springs. This Saturday, boys football plays their first playoff game against Weir beginning at 1:30. And don't forget, boys basketball tryouts are Monday. Don't forget it's physical and you must have a 2.0 grade point average. I'm Elijah Smith for Insider Sports.
Welcome to a special playoff edition of High School Football Game Day. I'm Gunnar Webb. With the playoffs beginning, the Indians will host the 14th seeded Weir Red Raiders on Saturday. The two teams have not met yet this season or in recent history, and it will be interesting to see how these two teams match up head-to-head. Weir has had a pretty good year, posting a 7-3 record with losses coming against an Ohio school and two common opponents, Fairmont Senior and Kaiser. Weir could just not keep up with Senior's high-powered offense, but as expected, played closer to Weir, who Bridgeport beat handily 30-0. Weir comes in riding on an easy victory last week against Brooke, who they defeated 40-7. Bridgeport is obviously the favorite as the 3 seed playing at home, but don't count Weir's high-scoring offense out, as they scored 75 points against Petersburg and are averaging just over 37 points a game this season. Bridgeport has been known to post high offensive numbers as well, last week scoring 56 points on Lincoln, who they defeated by 35. Once again, Jake Bowen had a huge game rushing the ball, gaining 215 yards on the ground, also adding an 84-yard kickoff return to his totals. He finished the evening with 4 touchdowns. John Merica added 3 rushing touchdowns and ran for over 100 yards. He also completed a pass for 28 yards. The Tribe also got help from DeAndre Holloway and Brian Henderson, as Henderson added a touchdown himself. The Indians finished up the regular season 9-1, relying heavily on their stout defense and on their prolific rushing attack. Today I got a special interview with the main man behind all the action.
This weekend, you guys are playing on Saturday at 1:30. It's your first day game of the year, and you do get an extra day of preparation. So you want to talk a little bit about that, and do you think the preparation will help?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially if you have a little bit of bad weather. I don't think we really want to play on Saturday. I think the opposing coach does that for a reason. But the bottom line is, if we have some issues during the week, if we see some things that we need to work on, it does give you an extra day.
You guys have had a lot of success, and you've blown some teams out, winning by multiple touchdowns. So you got your guys ready and prepared to play full games that they're going to have to see, through November? Are you doing some extra conditioning for them?
Well, that's the hope. I mean, as far as extra conditioning goes, I don't know about that. I think a little bit, yeah. Like you said, this week's a little bit different. You got a little more time to do that because you don't play till Saturday. So, yeah, we have, and that's always in our coaching staff's the back of our minds. Are we in shape? We haven't played that many 4-quarter games, but I think so. I mean, we've done pretty much the same thing over the years with conditioning, and hopefully we'll see.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Weir. We're 7-3, and they have played the common opponents in Fairmont Senior and Kaiser, so you got to probably watch a little bit of tape on that maybe. And I'm curious as to whether last week playing Lincoln, get to seeing a lot of passes, throw the ball at almost every down. And Weir has a pretty, typical high school attack. They run the ball a lot. But how important is it to keep your DBs from getting lulled to sleep in the running game, as they have been known to throw it a little bit?
Well, that's what we tell them whenever it's sort of like a team when they play us. I mean, you can't get lulled to sleep. You have to read your keys every play because they can pop a pass on you anytime. The way that you combat that really is to stop the run. Right. I mean, if you can stop the run and make them a little more one-dimensional, then that surprise element isn't there.
All right, and one final question, and it pertains to the offense. You know, you guys found success this year, you know, as usual, running the ball really heavily. Will you talk a little bit about how nice it is to have multiple backs that you can call on to run the play, and the defense not knowing who's going to, you know, inevitably wind up with the ball?
Right. It's a luxury. I mean, they can't key on just one person. John and Jake have done a great job. Our offensive line knows that if they do their job, even for just a little bit, they can get either one of those guys through the line. They've got a good chance to break it. So we're real fortunate there. DeAndre Holloway is also in that backfield. Our offensive coordinator is experimenting with some formations to utilize both DeAndre and Jake. So we're able to put, because of our success and the execution we've had, we're able to put some different things in.
Well, it sure looks like Coach Cole has his guys ready for the playoffs. And now to a special playoff edition of Friday Night Thoughts.
Good morning, BHS, and welcome back to another edition of Friday Night Thoughts, this time on a Thursday. I'm here with Jimmy Allison and Caleb Stragle here to talk about Saturday's Weir game. So, guys, this is a playoff game. It's a big deal and determines the rest of our season. What will we need to do to win this game?
Just go out there and have a good game, work hard.
All right, and Strakel?
Yeah, their offense pretty good, so our defense is going to have to step up and shut them down.
All right, now, is there any specific strategy that we're going to use to overcome Weir High School?
Yeah, nothing specific. We're going out there and just work hard, do our thing. That's about it.
All right, and Strakel?
Yeah, we've been practicing hard all week, and we're going to have to come out Saturday and get the W.
All right, now, since this is such a big game, what do you guys do to prepare?
Like before the game, I go home, eat a sandwich, come back, just bump some tunes. That's it.
All right, and Strakel?
Yeah, I just go home, put my headsets on, get in the zone, and usually grab something to eat for the game.
All right, well, that's it for this issue of Thursday Night Thoughts. Now back to you.
I'm now joined by our guest picker of the week, Caden Shimagowski. What's going on, Caden?
What's going on, buddy?
All right, so this weekend we got Bridgeport's first playoff game. What do you think the score is going to be facing Weir?
I have pretty high hopes for us. I think it's going to be a good way to start off the postseason, so I'm going to go ahead and say 35-14 Bridgeport.
All right. Mountaineers also playing on Saturday. The game's starting at 3:30, and it's on the road against Kansas State. How do you think we'll fare in that game?
They were favored because they're on the road, but I'm going to go ahead and still say 28-17.
28-17.
Us.
All right, so Caden, you're a huge Jags fan. You got your Joe Drew jersey on. So we'll go ahead and let you pick that game too. What's the score going to be this weekend as the Jags take on the Chargers?
Well, they are playing at StubHub, I believe. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be a big victory. I'm going to go ahead and say 42-7.
42-7 for the Jags. All right. So if you plan to attend the game on Saturday, remember it is set to start at 1:30, an unusual start time for the Tribe. It will be interesting to see how the Indians fare and whether or not they have what it takes to begin what they hope to be a deep playoff run. Be sure to pack Wayne Jamison Stadium as the Indians search for their 7th straight victory. With this playoff edition of High School Football Game Day, I'm Gunnar Webb, and as always, Roll Tribe.
Student council members need to turn in your cards from yesterday's general meeting to Mrs. Pintai or Mrs. McCarthy before first lunch today. The chairpersons need to see Mrs. McCarthy first lunch today.
Any sophomore interested in touring the United Technical Center needs to see Mrs. Robinson for the permission slip. The tour will take place on Thursday, November 30th from 8:30 to 10:30.
Those sophomore students that applied to Hobie need to see Mrs. Robinson for more information on the student interview date and time.
There will be a Fellowship of Christian Athletes meeting during second lunch in Mr. Marshall's room, 119. All are welcome to attend.
The audition date for Barnum has been changed to November 26th. See Mr. Brown for audition packets.
This week, Bridgeport High School is hosting College Applications and Exploration Week. Now to John Thomas for a special West Virginia College Tribe Trivia.
Where did you go to college?
Marshall University. I went to Fairmont State College, which is now Fairmont State University.
Fairmont State. West Virginia Wesleyan.
What do you remember most about your college experience?
I would have to say working with all the different sports teams, basketball, football, volleyball, soccer, softball, within my athletic training department.
Experience.
I did get a really good college experience, and I feel like I got a really good education, but definitely the thing I remember the most and value the most is the friendships that I made along the way, and just meeting people with shared interests and people that became lifelong friends.
Probably being in a sorority and all of the fun times I had at being part of the sorority.
Do you remember anything about your first roommate?
Well, I was her maid of honor in her wedding, and she's going to be in my wedding. So, yeah, I say I remember a lot about her, and we were random roommates. We did not know each other beforehand, and we're best friends now.
Yes, here's what I remember about my roommates. There were 4 of us in kind of like a large pod, and the 3 roommates were from a high school called Bridgeport. And I, of course, was not from this area, so I'm like, wow, I wonder who these girls are and how they'll be. And they were great, and they were from Bridgeport High School, and that was my first connection to Bridgeport.
Everything about my first roommate. We roomed together for 4 years. We were in each other's weddings. Her name was Katie Rose. We're still friends today, so we hit it off pretty well.
What advice would you give to a college freshman?
Keep your options open because you will always be up for a change and for something different.
Enjoy your college experience.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, but it's a blast, and just to have fun and work hard and do the best you can.
No matter what, go to class. No matter where you were the night before, how you're feeling, unless you're in the hospital, get your butt to class.
There will be a dance ensemble meeting Monday in the gym, first lunch.
Anyone that took a shoebox pack for the Operation Christmas Child project is reminded to have them brought back to Mr. Marshall's room by Wednesday, November 15th.
Today for Key Club Week, it's Random Acts of Kindness Day, so officers have put encouraging post-its on your lockers. Also, there will be a Key Club meeting today during both lunches.
The Indian Insider staff would like to thank Mr. Ayers for donating a new office chair to our studio. Thanks for the support.
Today for lunch, we will be having birthday dinner.
That's all we have for you today, BHS. Have a thunderous 3-day weekend Thursday.
To break the spell of aging, celebrity skin, is this your gender, is that